What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the WrestleGasm YouTube channel, where today we are here with episode 11 of the Global Wrestling Alliance on TEW 2020. We continue with the Global Heavyweight Championship Tournament, where tonight we will see two semi-finals matches. It'll be Bob Backlund taking on Jerry Lawler and Vader taking on Tully Blanchard. Very excited for that. Of course, as we saw in the last episode, we're going to have Pat Tanaka and David Sammartino debuting tonight. So that should be a lot of fun. I'm excited to get straight into the episode, but before I do, I want to make a comment. I don't think I actually brought this up in the previous episode, but just in case I didn't, I'm going to say it now. We had this match here between the Rock and Roll Express and the Brood. That was supposed to be a pre-show match, but I screwed up somewhere along the way and forgot to put it on the pre-show, so it was actually televised. I'm just going to ignore that. I'm just going to pretend it was a pre-show because I really don't want the Brood appearing on TV just to have a random loss, because I want to build them up. So hopefully you guys can join me in ignoring that. But yeah, so there's that. I think other than that, let's just jump straight into the episode. Alright, so we have 2,600 people in attendance. You guys know the drill. We use the pre-show matches to try and give some momentum to people who aren't booked on TV but may still need the momentum. In this case, it's Cowboy Bob Orton, who in a pre-show bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Bob Orton Jr. defeats local worker Dynamite D in 9 minutes 50 by pinfall with a superplex. For a pre-show bout, I'll take a 42. I know it says terrible wrestling, but we're not looking for ratings on the pre-show, really. It's not our first time using Dynamite D, but yeah, he's a fine jobber. In a poor pre-show match, Tony Atlas defeated Tyler Mane in 10 minutes 29 by pinfall with a Samoan drop. Again, just a momentum thing for Tony Atlas. Tyler Mane is an interesting one, though. He's a wrestler from around this time who, admittedly, I don't know much about him when it comes to wrestling, but I do know he played Sabretooth in the original X-Men movie in 2000. So I thought it might be a fun idea to sign him and give him that Sabretooth gimmick. Really potentially dumb idea, but it's really goofy. It's more of just a me thing, because if you go on the WrestleGasm YouTube channel page and you scroll down, there'll be a link to my other channel, which is all about like comic book movies and stuff like that. So obviously the X-Men films were, very important to me. So I thought doing something like this, having Tyler Mane play Sabretooth in this game, would be a lot of fun. But, again, probably a dumbass idea, but I'm going to go for it anyways. He's going to be on developmental, so it doesn't matter too much. In our final pre-show match, in a terrible pre-show match, Robert Gibson defeated Paul Levesque in 10 minutes 8 seconds by pinfall with a missile dropkick. Again, Robert Gibson just needs some momentum. As we saw in the last episode, Triple H has joined the game. No pun intended. He's in the database now. And he's going to go down to developmental, but I want to job him out on this pre-show just to see what his initial kind of ratings would be like, what kind of performance he would give off the bat. 18 is kind of shit, can't lie, but I would love for Paul Levesque to be kind of a project we take on. We've got to build him up over time, and I'm sure if we can stick to this save long enough, we can turn Paul Levesque into Triple H. I have no doubt. Anyways, we move on to the televised portion of the show. In a decent match, Tom Pritchard defeated Pat Tanaka in 8 minutes 33 by pinfall with a super kick. Yeah, not a bad match at all. Pretty happy with that. I am a Dr. Tom fan, which is why he beat Tanaka. I know we kind of built up Tanaka last week, but I still think it's fine to build up someone just to have them lose, because it, still makes the loss seem, I don't know, more earned. Like, I don't know. I think us hyping up Tanaka last week only for him to lose to Pritchard kind of helps Pritchard as well. I don't know. I'm probably just rambling. But we move on. Vader is entering for his semi-finals match, accompanied by his manager, Captain Lou Albano. His opponent Tully Blanchard waits in the ring. As Vader enters, the New Breed, Chris Champion and Sean Royal attack Vader from behind. They focus on his right leg, trying to destroy Vader's knee. Vader is often seen by the GWA crowd as a villain, but in this moment he has their support as boos rain down on the New Breed. After delivering more damage to his knee than any normal man should be able to endure, the New Breed struggle to lift the 400 plus pounds of Vader and put him into the ring. The referee checks on Vader, who is in agony, but to his credit, he's prepared to go through with the match, determined to earn his shot at the Global Heavyweight Championship. 59, pretty happy with that. As I'm sure you guys can probably guess, this is just my way of having Tully beat Vader and have it make sense. Because I do not think Tully could beat Vader clean. Speaking of which, in a bout that had fantastic heat and great wrestling, Tully Blanchard defeated Vader in 14:22 by a pinfall with a slingshot suplex. Tully Blanchard advances to the grand finals of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament. A 75 might be, I don't think it's the best match we've ever had, but it's definitely the best Tully match we've ever had, if I remember correctly. I could be totally wrong. But yeah, Tully moves on to the finals. I don't know if that was a predictable outcome for you guys. I don't know if you saw Tully going to the finals from the beginning, because I have talked quite a lot about how Tully is going to be like my main guy. But yeah, he goes through. In hindsight, it probably would have been smart to use Vader, because Vader is our best performer by a long shot. But I've got the story mapped out in my head. I know where I want to go with it. And Vader will get his time to shine. In a bout that had subpar wrestling and little heat, Manami Toyota defeated Leilani Kai in 8:21 by pinfall with a Japanese ocean bomb. Of 40, I'm not gonna lie, 40 is actually better than I expected, because they're both unimportant, and I knew that heading into it. But you know, I wanted to continue this storyline, and we do have a segment for this storyline in just a moment. But you know, I wanted to give them some time, because we've had a few weeks where there's been a women's wrestling segment, but not really a match. So yeah, I'm all for giving them more TV time. It's worth noting, in this match, Judy Martin goes to help Leilani Kai get the win, but then Wendy Richter runs out and makes the save, and that's when Manami ends up getting the win over Leilani. The reason it doesn't say that in the booking notes is because I did set Judy and Wendy to be ringside, but I couldn't be bothered looking into all the stuff about how to make an interference, and then someone interferes on the interference, you know, weird stuff. But yeah, there we go. After the match, after stopping Judy Martin from interfering in the match, Wendy Richter stands side by side with the victorious Manami Toyota. Without even taking a microphone, Judy screams at Wendy and Manami to settle this in a tag team match, to which Wendy and Manami accept. The match will take place at the upcoming pay-per-view event. Obviously nothing special with this segment, it's basic as hell, but it locks in the fact that we're going to see a tag team match, one that I'm actually pretty excited for. So, you know, I'm hoping that soon we can get some great women's wrestlers signed to the roster, and I can improve my storytelling abilities for the women's division, because I do think that this feud is a bit bland, but I'm hoping that it still gives them the opportunity to showcase themselves, which that's literally what the TV show is called, because showcase is the whole point. We want the world to see these guys. So yeah, pretty happy with that. In a bout that didn't have much heat and terrible wrestling, Fatu defeated David Sammartino in 9:49 by pinfall with a Samoan splash. Terrible wrestling. That is quite unfortunate. Sammartino with a better performance than Fatu, only just, but still, it's cool to see. Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting terrible wrestling from these guys, but it is what it is, I guess. But then after the match, Bruno Sammartino checks on his son after his loss, but before long, Fatu's tag team partner Samu comes out, joined by their family members, the legendary Arthur and the menacing Kokina. Arthur says that he felt disrespected by Bob Armstrong's comments last week about the Armstrongs being the best family in wrestling. The NOI family has reigned supreme over the industry for a long time and will continue to do so, starting with a trios match challenge to the Armstrongs at the upcoming pay-per-view. Before leaving, Arthur turns to Bruno and says that if Bruno ever wants to come out of retirement, he'd happily put him in his place and prove that the Sammartinos are no different to the Armstrongs. 32 is a bit shit. I put Menace on the NOI guys because they all have really good menace, and the whole point was to make them seem intimidating and imposing. But yeah, for those who don't remember, in the last episode, Bob Armstrong basically made his first appearance. He came to his son, Steve Armstrong, who's one half of the WCW United States Tag Team Champions. And he said, look, the Armstrongs have had a shit time in GWA so far. Scott Armstrong got humiliated by Jerry Lawler and Austin Idol. Steve Armstrong tried to rectify that, but got humiliated as well. Brad and Brian Armstrong both lost on North American Championship Wrestling. So Bob wants to bring them all together, except for Scott, of course, he's now at WCW. But Bob wants to bring them all together and unify them and show them as a formidable force in wrestling. And that's where Arthur's like, no can do. There's already a family reigning over the GWA and wrestling as a whole, and it's not the Armstrongs. So yeah, it's cool because you've got a few moving pieces with the families. You've got the NOIs, the Sammartinos, the Armstrongs, and then if we want to dip into it, there's the Von Erichs, but like it's just Kevin and then the fake one, Lance. So maybe not. Maybe we can still carry from WWF at some point. Main event time. In a bout that had great heat and good wrestling, Bob Backlund defeated Jerry Lawler in 1932 by submission with a cross-faced chicken wing. This match was part of the Global Heavyweight Championship tournament, which means Bob Backlund goes through to the grand final. Now, like I was saying in the previous semifinal match, I'm sure this is predictable as hell. I'm sure people probably guessed Tully, Backlund. That's how this story began with Backlund's contract situation. That has to be how it ends. And I will admit, for the first few rounds of the tournament, I didn't exactly know how it was going to end. I explored all these different avenues in my mind about how it could end up, and a lot of those scenarios dealt with Backlund not making it through to the finals, and then he'd have to find another way to get his contract back, but he just couldn't. But he's there now. It's the final chapter of Backlund and Blanchard. Speaking of which, Bob Backlund stands tall in the ring after his win over Jerry Lawler. He's now one step closer to regaining his contract and becoming the first global heavyweight champion. Tully Blanchard soon comes out, accompanied by Paul Ellering and the New Breed. The realization begins to settle in. Tully is the man who cost Backlund his job, and now he's the man he'll have to beat to get it back. Tully and Bob have a stare down until Nick Bockwinkel comes out. Bockwinkel says that he told Tully a few weeks ago that he won't stand for his cheating ways, and that remains true, even in the Vader situation earlier in today's episode. So at the pay-per-view, Tully and Bob will fight for the Global Heavyweight Championship inside a steel cage to ensure that no one can interfere in the match. Tully and the New Breed shout in anger at Bockwinkel, but Bob is pleased knowing that he now has a fighting chance. Tully stares down with Bob once more to close the show. The stage is set, and only one man will walk out of the cage with the gold. So there you go. Steel cage main event, Global Heavyweight Championship, Tully Blanchard, Bob Backlund. I know this was the main event of the previous pay-per-view, but we've got to run it back one more time. The story is there. And if I remember correctly, Blanchard and Backlund actually don't have good chemistry. I also just realized, you guys probably clocked this earlier than I did because I had to read all that text. I just realized I put Bob Armstrong in the segment instead of Bob Backlund. Let's just pretend that's Backlund. Yeah, let's just ignore that. But we finished the show. 66. I don't remember what our usual ratings are, so I'll go and have a look. But increased our pop in 11 regions, and then we couldn't do it in Canada because we need a better exposure. Yeah, just pretend that was Backlund in the final segment, not Armstrong. I might even no, I was gonna like put a nickname on Bob Armstrong, call him like Bullet Bob Armstrong, just to make it easier so I don't make that mistake again. But I won't. The feedback from viewers has been great. It has drawn a lot of praise. All right, good stuff. Top 100. That was our second best show. Our best one was a round one show. Vader and Bigelow. That'll do it. That will, in fact, do it. Third place, or I guess technically second because they're equal, for that Blanchard Vader match. But yeah, we're starting to find our groove a lot more. We had a rocky start to the series, but we're really starting to get there. What's in our envelope? Oh, okay. So we've got a few interesting things to go over, I guess. First of all, viewing figures, 618. I don't know how that ranks, but okay. Well, before we look through the emails, let me look at the notes that I've written down here. Obviously, we already talked about Paul Levesque. We talked about Tyler Main. Chris Candido has been injured. He is over here. Separated shoulder for 22 days. That's not bad. We can deal with that. We signed Bob Holly to North American Championship Wrestling. If you guys remember in the last episode, we tried signing him to GWA, but Terry Gordy doesn't like him. So he's just going to chill down here for now, and we might turn Aaron O'Grady into Crash Holly. We'll see how things go. Do I still have... Okay, no, I did change the initials for that. What's the emails here? LPWA due to the retirement of Wally Carbo. Well, that might affect us, because LPWA... we have a relationship with. They're our source for women's wrestlers, but they're also losing money, so that might be a thing. Tyler Main got called up. Did I not just borrow him? Did I put Tyler Main on the main roster? I guess I did. I think I'll change that. What else we got? We signed Jacqueline. She's now on the roster. And then if we have a look in here, so I had a look. WCW and WWF had a few people who were available to sign, and none of them were really people that I thought really, fit into GWA. Like, for example, the Iron Sheik. I don't think he's someone who would really fit in GWA, but I still sent them contract offers so that WWF and WCW would spend a lot more money. So we've kind of started to... This is our kind of first attack on those guys. It's just making them spend more money, but they make enough that it wouldn't bother them, I don't think. Yeah, so... Oh, those young figures were for 7, not 8. Okay. Lex Luger was the interesting one. He's obviously gone and, re-signed with WCW. But he's their World Heavyweight Champion. So if I really wanted to, I could steal their World Heavyweight Champion, or could past tense. But 85 grand a month, I am not in a position to fight that contract. So it's nice to think that we could have stolen the World Champ. Jake the Snake was another one. Yeah, you get the idea. I think Jim Neidhart was another one. Yeah, he just extended. Yeah, that's about it really. I don't think there's anything else to go over unless I forgot something, but the next episode will be the pay-per-view. Don't forget, we have, assuming they accept, we're going to have the Armstrongs versus the Anawais. We're going to have Wendy Richter and Manami Toyota versus the Glamour Girls. We're going to have Bob Backlund versus Tully Blanchard in a steel cage match to crown our first global heavyweight champion. And we're going to have so much more. I'm really excited for all of that. And I hope you guys are excited too. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Any matches you might want to see on the pay-per-view, I'm open to suggestions. But yeah, that about does it. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. And I'll see you guys next time.